Okay, I have to admit, sometimes there is nothing more intimidating than a blank sheet of paper if you can't draw. Usually I need some sort of a pattern or something to draw within. But what I started doing was challenging myself to start doing some freehand work using my Chameleon pens. And I can show you some really neat things that I figured out that can be a lot of fun using the pens. So one of my favorite techniques for creating the effect of grass is I like using the YG3. And I've used this for quite a bit of time because I really want to be able to get some great color variation in there. So once I've got that fused for a little bit, what I'm going to do is just pick a spot here, and I'm going to just sort of freehand flick down. And as the toning medium starts to change a little darker, I'm going to change the direction so that I'm getting this really cool color variation in the grass that I'm building. And just with one fuse, you can get some pretty neat effects. So you can kind of get in there and build and layer and get some real great texture and depth and dimension. Again, fuse it another time and kind of build on that. So it gives you a more realistic effect as to how you could have a little bundle of grass. Now I'm going to just keep this in the darker vein, and I'm just going to put a couple of these up like stems. And I'm going to create some flowers on the end of those stems, which is kind of cool. Now there's lots of different ways you can make flowers. One of my favorites is to try and do like a little lilac-y thing, and lilac. And I use the bullet and the brush nib. So what I do is I start out by, I'm going to use the VO4, and I'm going to fuse that for a little bit. What I want to do is I want to get that diluted really nice so that I get a nice almost translucent amount coming out. And then I'm going to just create this little outline of the flower that I want. Then I'm going to go in and I'm going to start building. I'm going to say the light source maybe is coming from here. So I want it a little bit lighter in this area. And I'm just going to do that stipple effect. And as I start to move along, I start spending out that toning medium and moving over to the darker area so that I can get all this sort of texture and go back and overlay a little bit and dimension inside of here. I want to keep that light source there. And again, as you start to color, you can get these more depth and dimension. Now, if you want, you can go back and hit it again and blend it some more. And to get even more definition, I'm just going to go back light again in this area here to get some build up. So you can get all these different color variations. And if you want to get even more definition, just go back with the bullet that you haven't fused so you know that it's in pure color. And you can go in and add a couple more, even more depth in there as well. So that's kind of a cool way to be able to create freehand, a little bit of grass, and pretty little flowers. You're going to do a whole bunch of them along the way. But don't be afraid of just trying something new with the pens, and you don't always have to color inside the lines.